Hi, everyone. I'm going to explain how our master schedule works for our middle school. In front of you, the first thing that you're going to see is our bell schedule. This is a really good indicator and thing to look at in order to see how our day exactly breaks down. We have office hours, which are at the bottom of the schedule. I want you to note those as our hours of staff that we are obligated to be here without students. As in, those are our staff meeting times, our RTI times, and our grade level team meeting times. Now, how we break that down varies. So on Mondays, once a month, we have staff meetings. Those are administrative led, which means our assistant principal or principal are going to be leading those staff meetings to talk about important things that affect all of us school wide. On those days that we do not have staff meetings on Mondays, those are our grade level team meeting times in which we get together and we discuss as grade levels how we can best support the students within that specific grade level. Since we are in middle school and we have three different grade levels, sixth, seventh, and eighth, it's really good to be able to meet as teachers across disciplines and discuss how we can improve things at a grade level. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are subject specific grade level team meetings. So that as in, if you're a language arts teacher, you'll meet with all the language arts teachers. If you are a math teacher, you'll meet with all math teachers. This is to discuss both interventions and the progression of mathematics from grade 6 to 8. You can consider this our common planning time amongst people who are in the same department. Also, those Tuesday and Thursday times are also times to really collaborate with intervention specialists to discuss, again, interventions and how to best meet the needs of our special education students in grade level specific content areas. We have a lot of students that are in inclusion courses, so this is a good time for you to get together and really plan co-teaching, for example, because we do have co-teaching in language arts and mathematics, as well as science and social studies throughout the different grade levels. On Wednesdays and Fridays, that 7:40 to 8:30 time is designated for students to come in for office hours. This is homework help and or detention for our students who do not arrive to school on time on multiple occasions. Once they hit 3 tardies to a class, students are obligated to attend detention hours before school during the 7:40 to 8:30 school time. Since our contract hour as teachers ends at 3:40, that prevents us from working outside of our contract day to really meet the needs of students. So we've really blocked off a designated amount of time in order for us to do RTI, meet as a team, and also tutor and help students. Office hours can also be utilized in order to meet parents for parent-teacher conferences on an individual level, outside of the big conference days that we do have throughout the school year. So once that 8:30 time hits, that's when our school day starts. From there, we have periods 1 through 7 and our lunch recess block. On Mondays, the 7th period or study hall flex time, as you see on the schedule, is designated for homeroom. This is where every week we will put out announcements that have to do with the entire week's events. We will also discuss and do school-wide behavior management and social skills and interactions lessons with students. And then they will move into their normal study hall period. Tuesday through Friday, students have study hall, and then they move into our flex period. For those who are not aware of what flex time is or what our flex period is, it is our time designated during the school day for teachers to build relationships with students through activities. So consider it as an extracurricular activity that teachers will hold in order for students to have fun and get out of the academic mindset and really build relationships. We have things such as hip hop dance club, we have a Lego club, we have a dot to dot connect the dots club, we have painting club, there's service club, we have our LGBT plus group also during flex time. So the sky's the limit as far as your activity. But we do send out surveys to students to really gauge what kind of activities they would like. Because, of course, us as adults, we have ideas about what kids would like. But of course, we don't want to structure a whole bunch of activities that students don't want to participate in. And it would really defeat the purpose of our flex time period. As you can see, our school day is structured to where we have about 55 minutes per class period for each subject area. So now I'm going to move on to our master schedule where it really lays out all of our teachers and subject areas. Now, I'm not going to go through every teacher's schedule, but I really want to explain how things go. And I'll touch on my day in lieu of the schedule and how that really corresponds to everybody else's day. So with me being the EBD teacher, I have special ed students with behavioral issues, but a lot of my students also go out to regular classes throughout the day. But I do have small group reading and math lessons, as well as blocks of what we call Approaches to Learning or ATL class, which is really about IEP skills. That block of time for general education students, the ATL period, you'll see my schedule is right here, Mason, and it has my room number right here. I have ATL skills 8 in the morning, which means I have 8th grade approaches to learning skills. This is where I do social skills and behavior management skills and emotional regulation skills with my 8th grade students. Then I move into my small group language arts. This is for students who really have difficulty reading in general and have phonics issues. The next period I have planning. During my planning period, my students are all out in different courses. Since we start with special education students first in planning the master schedule, it's really hard to move special education kids around because we do take them into consideration first when building the schedule in terms of supports and needs. So in those periods where they go out, especially my students with behavioral needs, typically they need an aide to go with them. During my planning period, for example, the majority of my students are in science courses that are attended by my classroom instructional aide, which frees me up to have planning during that block of time. At that point, I move into Jax right here. She's our social studies teacher, and we co-teach social studies. This is based on the fact that my kids really were unsupported during this time of day in doing the schedule. So I've come in as an inclusion person to co-teach and really help my students during that social studies block, since my aides are really blocked off in other areas with other students. I actually have one aide in a classroom during this period, and another aide takes lunch during my inclusion block. And that's typically how we've run things with aides and intervention specialists. During an aides lunch, I have a duty, which is inclusion duty, quote unquote. And then during my lunch, which is the kids' lunch block as well, they have duties. So I have one that's on recess duty and one that's at lunch duty while I am at lunch at the same time as the kids. So during those ATL times for general education students, that's where we have our foreign language block. So in terms of scheduling, when we ask kids to create their schedule, the only thing that they really have the freedom to schedule or not schedule are band, choir, and foreign language. During the Approaches to Learning block that we have during our scheduled day is where general education students have their foreign language. We have either French or Spanish. Special education students do not take, unless their parents really find that inclusion support is all the support that they need in lieu of their IEP, do not take foreign language until high school, which is not a requirement. So it's not like we're violating any type of state law or requirement needs, or they're missing out in terms of foreign language. The other students get to pick French or Spanish during those ATL blocks, so that we have a designated block of time for ISs to really hit the minutes and interventions for those students that are on IEPs. We're always searching for minutes in the day, so we found a way to designate an entire block or periods of time in order for intervention specialists to meet those specific needs, goals, and objectives that are in an IEP. Here we see next, I have my ATL skills 7, which is 7th grade, and then I move into homeroom, study hall, and flex. So again, I want to note that we have our schedule, which is built into 55-minute blocks. We have our foreign language. The majority of our math and language arts classes are inclusion. So once you get to learn the teachers, you'll really, on staff, you'll really get to understand and learn by looking at this schedule who is an IS, and you'll see, just like with my schedule, Miss Jax is right here on my schedule. So if you see under an interventionist line or schedule another teacher's name, that typically means that they are in that class for support as inclusion. So this is really how our schedule really lays out. We have our various periods. We have language arts and mathematics, science and social studies as well, but it all depends on student needs on a particular year or in a particular grade level. If we have science and social studies support based on IEPs, and if students really need support in science or social studies, but definitely in language arts and math, we find that that's something we have to have consistently. Certain teachers are co-teaching classes that are supported by an intervention specialist. And then there are those that just have an aide for support, typically behavioral support, or just to fill their schedules as full-time staff as well, in order to support other students on IEPs and teachers in general. So in looking at the Bell schedule, you can see how this can be a bit confusing when you look at the Monday only homeroom study hall and then the office hours. But again, I want to note, Monday is team meetings or staff meetings. Those are grade level or whole staff. Tuesdays and Thursdays are department meetings / RTI, which is where we discuss as departments issues and where we need to have interventions or make changes in the curriculum on a departmental level, or to meet with intervention specialists. On Wednesdays and Fridays, this is where we can have one-on-one parent-teacher conferences at parents' request, or we have students come in and do retakes for tests and get extra supports and help when we see that they're not mastering a subject. So this really lays out our schedule at the middle school and how we go about our day.